What if everything we thought we knew about our future was about to change in ways we never imagined? The blind mystic who predicted some of history's most shocking events left us with warnings about 2026 that are sending chills down the spines of researchers worldwide. Alien contact, collapsing superpowers, a world transformed beyond recognition, and we're just months away from finding out if she was right. Vanga, the Bulgarian prophet who allegedly foresaw 9/11, the rise and fall of the Soviet Union, and countless other world events, made predictions that extend far into our century. But it's her prophecies for 2026 that have captured the attention of millions around the globe. Today, we're going to explore what she actually said, examine the historical context of her predictions, and look at what's happening right now that might align with her vision of the near future. Born Evangelia Pandeva Gustarova in 1911, Baba Vanga lost her sight at age 12 during a massive dust storm in her hometown. According to legend, she was swept up by a powerful tornado and found buried in a field, her eyes filled with sand and dust. After this traumatic event, she claimed to have received the gift of prophecy and began seeing visions of the future. For decades, people from around the world traveled to her small home in Bulgaria seeking guidance, including presidents, prime ministers, and ordinary citizens desperate for answers about their futures. What made Baba Vanga different from countless other self-proclaimed psychics was the specificity of some of her predictions and the powerful patronage she received. The Bulgarian government reportedly consulted her on matters of national importance. Even skeptics acknowledged that she made statements that, when interpreted broadly, seemed to align with major world events. However, it's crucial to understand that many of her predictions were documented after the events they supposedly foretold, making verification challenging. Still, her legacy persists, and her predictions for our immediate future deserve serious examination. For 2026, Baba Vanga allegedly made two interconnected predictions that have captured the world's imagination. First, she spoke of contact with extraterrestrial beings, claiming that humanity would experience a significant encounter with visitors from beyond our world. Second, she predicted the fall of major empires and a fundamental restructuring of global power. These aren't vague warnings about distant centuries, according to those who studied her prophecies. 2026 represents a pivotal turning point in human history. Let's start with the extraterrestrial prediction. Baba Vanga reportedly claimed that in 2026, humanity would make undeniable contact with beings from other worlds. This wasn't described as a gradual revelation or a scientific discovery of microbial life on distant planets. According to interpretations of her visions, this would be a clear, unmistakable encounter that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe forever. She suggested that this contact would be both awe-inspiring and terrifying, forcing humanity to confront questions about our origins, our purpose, and our future. Now, before we dismiss this as science fiction, consider what's been happening in recent years. Governments around the world have been releasing previously classified information about unidentified aerial phenomena. The United States government has acknowledged encounters with objects displaying technology that seems to defy our current understanding of physics. Military pilots have come forward with documented evidence of crafts moving in ways that shouldn't be possible with known technology. Scientists are increasingly vocal about the statistical probability of intelligent life existing elsewhere in the universe. The conversation has shifted from whether extraterrestrial life exists to when we might encounter it. Major space agencies are ramping up their search for techno-signatures, signs of advanced civilizations beyond Earth. Private companies are launching unprecedented numbers of satellites and deep space probes. Radio telescopes scan the cosmos constantly for signals that might indicate intelligent communication. The scientific community is taking the possibility of contact more seriously than ever before. Whether Baba Vanga's prediction comes true or not, humanity is preparing for the possibility of extraterrestrial contact in ways that would have seemed absurd just decades ago. But here's where it gets truly intriguing. Baba Vanga didn't see the alien encounter as an isolated event. She connected it directly to her second major prediction for 2026, the fall of empires and the restructuring of global power. According to those who studied her prophecies, she suggested that the revelation of extraterrestrial contact would act as a catalyst, exposing the fragility of human institutions and triggering a cascade of political and economic upheavals that would reshape our world. Think about the implications for a moment. If undeniable proof of extraterrestrial intelligence emerged, how would it affect our political systems, our religions, our economies, and our sense of identity as a species? Historical precedent suggests that paradigm-shifting revelations often destabilize existing power structures. When Copernicus proved that Earth wasn't the center of the universe, it took centuries for society to fully absorb the implications. But we live in an age of instant global communication. A revelation about extraterrestrial contact would spread across the planet in seconds, and its effects would be immediate and profound. Now let's examine the second part of her prediction more closely: the fall of empires. When Baba Vanga spoke of empires collapsing in 2026, interpreters of her prophecies suggest she was referring to modern superpowers and the international order that has dominated global affairs. Since the end of World War II, she allegedly saw economic systems failing, military alliances fracturing, and new powers rising from unexpected places to fill the vacuum left by declining giants. Looking at our current global situation, it's not difficult to see signs that might align with such a prediction. Economic inequality has reached levels not seen in over a century. Supply chains that seemed invincible just years ago have proven fragile and vulnerable to disruption. Climate change is creating resource scarcity and mass migration that strain political systems to their breaking point. Trust in institutions has eroded across democracies worldwide. The international cooperation that characterized much of the late 20th century has given way to increasing nationalism and conflict. Major powers that once seemed unshakable are showing cracks in their foundations. Economic giants are dealing with debt levels that would have been unthinkable in previous generations. Military alliances are being questioned by the very nations that created them. New technologies are redistributing power in ways that traditional institutions struggle to control or understand. The rise of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and biotechnology is creating capabilities that could render conventional military and economic advantages obsolete. Perhaps most significantly, the global financial system is showing signs of strain that worry even mainstream economists. The mechanisms that prevented total collapse during previous crises are now questioned for their long-term sustainability. Digital currencies are challenging the monopoly of central banks. International trade agreements are being renegotiated or abandoned. The post-war order that created unprecedented prosperity for some nations is being fundamentally questioned by those who feel left behind by globalization. But here's what makes Baba Vanga's prediction particularly fascinating. She didn't just predict collapse. According to those who studied her visions, she saw a transformation. She suggested that from the chaos would emerge new forms of cooperation, new centers of power, and ultimately, a different kind of global civilization. The fall of empires wasn't an ending, but a beginning. The old structures would crumble not into darkness, but into something unprecedented in human history. Some researchers suggest that Baba Vanga's two predictions for 2026 are actually one unified vision. The encounter with extraterrestrial intelligence doesn't just happen to coincide with the restructuring of human civilization. It causes it. The revelation that we are not alone, that more advanced civilizations exist, would force humanity to see itself differently. National borders and tribal conflicts might seem absurd when confronted with the reality of our place in a populated cosmos. The competition between empires might give way to cooperation in the face of a much larger universe than we ever truly understood. Consider how contact scenarios have been studied by sociologists and political scientists. Most serious research suggests that proof of extraterrestrial intelligence would create a profound psychological and social impact. Religious institutions would need to reconcile their teachings with the reality of life beyond Earth. Scientific paradigms would shift overnight. Economic priorities might be completely reevaluated. What seems important in a world where we're alone might become trivial in a universe where we're one civilization among many. The timing of 2026 is also significant when we look at other convergent trends. Climate scientists have identified the mid-2020s as a crucial period, when the effects of environmental change will become undeniable to even the most skeptical observers. Economists suggest that several major financial and economic trends will reach critical points around the same time. Technological advances in artificial intelligence are expected to reach capabilities that will fundamentally alter labor markets and social structures. Multiple independent trajectories seem to be converging on the same narrow window of time. Of course, we must maintain a critical perspective. Baba Vanga's predictions, like those of most prophets throughout history, are subject to interpretation. Many claims attributed to her were documented by followers after her death in 1996, making verification impossible. The human tendency to find patterns and meaning, even where none exist, means that any sufficiently vague prediction can be retrofitted to match subsequent events. Confirmation bias leads us to remember the hits and forget the misses. Skeptics rightly point out that predictions of collapse and transformation are common throughout human history. Every generation has its prophets warning of imminent upheaval. Most civilizations have myths about visitors from the sky and the ending of ages. The fact that some of Baba Vanga's alleged predictions seem to match world events might simply reflect the law of large numbers. Make enough predictions, and some will inevitably align with reality through pure chance. Yet there's something compelling about examining these prophecies in the context of our current moment, whether Baba Vanga actually predicted these specific events or not. The questions her prophecies raise are worth considering. Are we prepared for contact with extraterrestrial intelligence if it occurs? Are our current political and economic systems sustainable, or are they approaching critical breaking points? What would it take to fundamentally transform how human civilization organizes itself? The scientific search for extraterrestrial intelligence continues to accelerate. The James Webb Space Telescope is revealing planets in distant solar systems with atmospheric compositions that could support life. Radio telescope arrays are becoming more sophisticated in their ability to detect artificial signals from across the galaxy. The discovery of extremophile life forms on Earth, organisms that thrive in conditions once thought impossible for life, has expanded our understanding of where and how life might exist elsewhere in the universe. Meanwhile, geopolitical tensions are rising in ways that would have seemed unlikely just years ago. Regional conflicts threaten to draw in major powers. Economic interdependence, once seen as a guarantee of peace, has become a source of vulnerability and strategic competition. The spread of advanced weapons technology means that more nations and even non-state actors have capabilities that were once the exclusive domain of superpowers. The probability of miscalculation or accidental escalation seems to increase with each passing year. Social movements across the globe are challenging established power structures. Citizens are demanding accountability from institutions that have long operated with minimal oversight. The flow of information, once controlled by governments and traditional media, has been democratized by digital technology. This has created both opportunities for greater transparency and challenges in distinguishing truth from manipulation. The old gatekeepers of power find their authority questioned in ways that would have been impossible in previous generations. What would happen in 2026 if Baba Vanga's predictions came true? Imagine waking up to news that couldn't be denied or explained away. Clear evidence of extraterrestrial technology or biological life. Not ambiguous signals or disputed photographs, but something undeniable. The immediate impact would be overwhelming. Markets would likely react with extreme volatility as investors struggle to understand the implications. Religious leaders would be forced to address questions that theology has debated in abstract terms but never confronted as reality. Government responses would vary dramatically based on national interests and cultural contexts. Some might see opportunity in the chaos, a chance to reshape international order to their advantage. Others might seek to suppress information or downplay its significance to maintain stability. The scientific community would mobilize like never before, racing to understand what contact means for our understanding of physics, biology, and the nature of intelligence itself. Every assumption about humanity's uniqueness and importance would be challenged. At the same time, if major political or economic structures began to fail, as the second part of the prediction suggests, the combination would be unprecedented in human history. We would be dealing with external revelation and internal collapse simultaneously. The systems we depend on for food, energy, communication, and security would be strained precisely when we need them most. This is why some researchers who studied catastrophic risks worry about convergent crises, multiple system failures happening at once, overwhelming our ability to respond effectively. Yet there's another possibility to consider. Perhaps the fall of empires that Baba Vanga predicted isn't necessarily catastrophic. Throughout history, the end of old orders has sometimes cleared the way for progress. The fall of colonial empires led to independence and self-determination for billions of people. The collapse of feudalism enabled the rise of more dynamic economic systems. The end of absolute monarchies made way for a representative government. Transformation, even when painful, can lead to something better than what came before. If her predictions come to pass, 2026 might be remembered not as the year civilization ended but as the year it was reborn. A year when humanity stopped seeing itself as divided into competing nations and started understanding itself as a single species among many in a populated cosmos. A year when old systems that no longer served human flourishing were finally replaced by new structures more suited to the challenges we face. A year when we stopped asking whether we're alone and started asking what we do now that we know we're not. The question isn't really whether Baba Vanga could see the future, The question is whether we can. Are we paying attention to the trends and trajectories that might converge into transformation? Are we preparing for possibilities that once seemed like science fiction but increasingly appear plausible? Are we willing to imagine that our institutions, our beliefs, and our understanding of reality might need fundamental updating? As we move through 2025, toward that pivotal year, we would be wise to watch for signs, not with credulous acceptance of every claim, but with open minds willing to recognize when our assumptions no longer match reality. The universe is vast and ancient. The idea that we're the only intelligence it has produced strains probability. Our political and economic systems were designed for different challenges than those we now face. Perhaps they need replacement not because a prophet predicted it, but because reality demands it. Whether 2026 brings alien visitors and falling empires, or simply another year in humanity's long story, the questions Baba Vanga's predictions raise are worth considering. They force us to imagine transformation on a scale we usually avoid contemplating. They challenge us to think about what comes after the systems we've known our entire lives. They invite us to consider our place in a cosmos that might be far stranger and more populated than we've allowed ourselves to believe. The future arrives whether we're ready or not. Prophecy or probability, warning or wishful thinking, something is shifting in our world. You can feel it if you pay attention. The old certainties don't hold the way they once did. The impossible seems increasingly possible. We stand at a threshold, and what lies beyond it might be exactly what mystics and prophets have been trying to tell us all along. We're not at the end of history, we're at its transformation. If this exploration of Baba Vanga's predictions has opened your mind to new possibilities, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos where we dive deep into prophecies, predictions, and the mysteries that shape our future. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and drop a comment below telling us what you think. Will 2026 be the year everything changes? Are we on the brink of contact with extraterrestrial intelligence? Is our current global order sustainable, or is transformation inevitable? Your perspective matters, and this community thrives on thoughtful discussion. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your mind open to possibilities. The future is closer than you think.